S.D. Boyan.
This is the Doc with SilverDoctors.com. We're pleased to welcome Ann Barnhardt of the former Barnhardt Capital Management today. Ann was light years ahead of just about everyone in recognizing the implications of MF Global's outright theft of supposedly segregated client funds, instantly telling anyone who would listen to immediately get out of all the paper markets. Ann even went so far as to instantly shut down her brokerage out of concerns for the safety of her clients' funds. Welcome, and thanks for coming on today, Ann.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Okay, well, before we talk about the Sentinel bankruptcy case, Ann, we've already seen lightning strike twice in the form of segregated client theft of the $200 million from PFG. What are your thoughts on the latest vaporization of client funds at PFG?
Well, it's just par for the course, and really the big news within the last few days relative to the PFG case is the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals decision relative to, and I know we're getting into lots of different companies and lots of different outfits here, but the Sentinel Management Group, which was a non-clearing FCM that was a Ponzi that crashed all the way back in 2007, so 5 years ago, and they're just getting this stuff adjudicated. Like I said, the decision from the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals just was published on Friday. And what that decision said, unbelievably, is that basically all property rights in the United States are basically gone, up in smoke. The court ruled that if you have money with an FCM and they fraudulently use your money that they're holding as a custodian, if they use your funds to go and borrow money to finance their own in-house proprietary trading desk, when that Ponzi collapses, the customers have absolutely no rights to their own property, and that the counterparty, meaning the mega bank that lended the FCM the money fraudulently, they stay at the front of the line. Absolutely stunning. And so what this does is it trickles all the way back down through the system to both MF Global and PFG, and basically tells the customers, sorry, you're basically screwed. Not only are you screwed, but we now have a legal precedence that is going to be used by every executive in every one of these companies to say, hey, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals just ruled that using customer segregated funds as collateral on your own loans to fund your prop trading desk is completely legal and doesn't constitute fraud. And so what we're seeing is the complete disintegration of the financial system before our very eyes. It's Soviet. It's truly, truly Soviet. I mean, you couldn't even make stuff like this up. If you told me a year ago that any of this would be going on and that we'd have court decisions like this, I would have told you that you were completely out of your mind. And now here we are. It's happening. You've got to get out of the financial system. Nothing is safe.
I couldn't agree more. And just for clarification, because the story really hasn't been picked up at all, really, in the MSM as well as even alternative sites like Zero Hedge. So let's give a little bit of a background for those unfamiliar with the story. Essentially, the Sentinel Management Group, if I'm correct, imploded in I think 2007, and it had over $500 million in segregated client funds that were vaporized. Essentially, the Sentinel rehypothecated their clients' assets at that time or prior to their bankruptcy in order to secure a line of credit from the Bank of New York Mellon. So now we're 5 years down the road, and Bank of New York Mellon has sued, basically, as you mentioned, to get to the front of the line ahead of segregated customers in the bankruptcy proceedings. And so Friday's court ruling, essentially, the Federal Appeals Court has ruled that the Bank of New York Mellon gets to jump in line ahead of the segregated customers.
Exactly, and this despite the fact that the Bank of New York Mellon executives who testified in the trial lied, and it even says in the decision that the exact words that are used was that they were artless liars, and the decision goes so far to say that because the bankers lied so blatantly and egregiously that must somehow be proof that they weren't actually complicit in the fraud, which again, totally Soviet. We're through the looking glass. None of this makes any sense. The other big point about Sentinel is what Sentinel was it was a hedge fund for other FCMs. So when other FCMs had excess proprietary cash, what they would do is they would send it to Sentinel and park it with them, and then Sentinel said that they were acting as a hedge fund and that they were investing this so that the FCMs could generate some sort of a return in excess of the rapidly falling interest rates that were going on in 2007 and before. So what Sentinel was it was a non-clearing FCM. Who has the regulatory and auditing oversight of all non-clearing FCMs in the United States? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's the National Futures Association. The same National Futures Association that apparently just completely missed the fact that PFG Best only had $5 million in its segregated account when it was telling them that it had 225 million. But then I guess that's what you get when you're sending account balance confirm requests to unverified post office boxes. And I guess that's also what you get when, you know, a 9-figure FCM has some gal working out of her house on the near west side of Chicago acting as their auditor. I mean, you know, the fact that an FCM that size has thousands of journal entries per day, and that one gal working out of her house is doing all of the accounting and all of the in-house auditing. Well, we couldn't possibly expect the NFA to, you know, investigate that or follow up on that. And we couldn't possibly expect the NFA to be sending account balance confirms to anything other than an unverified post office box, even though, you know, you can't even buy a 99-cent piece of crap on eBay if you're doing business through an unverified post office box. Look, the NFA is a criminal mafia. The upper management of the NFA and the upper echelon of these auditors should do hard prison time. And I'm not talking Camp Cupcake. I'm talking about decades of hard time that these people should be doing, because they are completely complicit in this. There is no real regulatory oversight of the financial industry in this country. The NFA isn't auditing anybody in any realistic sense. If you're in the NFA's mafia, they'll coast you right through. If you're not in the NFA's mafia, they will tear you apart and destroy you with malicious auditing and malicious litigation. Who was the auditing oversight body for MF Global? Well, it was the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And again, they weren't doing any realistic auditing oversight. You know, we're not going to mess with Corzine. We're not going to mess with MF Global. Just sign off on them. And now the coup de grace is that the courts are now completely complicit in all of this. The courts facilitated the fraudulent bankruptcy filing of MF Global, and now the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, upholding a decision from the district court, has now made this absolutely mind-blowing decision, setting precedents that says that customers have absolutely no right to their segregated funds held in any depository or financial institution. I don't know what else people need. MF Global stole $1.6 billion. PFG Best is $225 million. Gone. Who's going to be next? It's clear there's no regulatory oversight. If you're still in these markets, you're either stupid or on drugs. That's the only conclusion that I can come to.
I couldn't agree more. I just wanted to get your thoughts on one aspect of both MF Global and PFG Best. I don't particularly believe that it's much of a coincidence that the customer accounts at PFG just happened to again be held at JP Morgan. And I don't know if you saw this or not, but JP Morgan filed a request with U.S. Bankruptcy Court on the past week attempting to limit the subpoena power of PFG's bankruptcy trustee Ira Bodenstein. So basically JP Morgan is doing everything in their power to keep their dealings with the PFG client funds under lock and key. Do you think we're reading too much into this, or should we be focusing on JP Morgan's role in both of these bankruptcies?
Oh, no, not at all. And I've got another one for you. JP Morgan has just announced that it wants to hold customer collateral. It wants to be the body that holds customer collateral for FCMs, because now the argument they're making is, well, look at these FCMs. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. So now we need a third party to hold customer collateral. Guess who's going to get to be that third party? It's going to be JP Morgan. Look, they know that the end is in sight, and they know that in a lawless environment, that possession is everything, and they want as much in their physical possession as they can possibly get, because they know that when the poop hits the fan and this whole deal collapses, they're going to be able to keep everything that they have, and they want as much as possible. No, this is all completely revolving around JP Morgan and Goldman, and I would personally be looking for, within the next few weeks to months, I think that what they're going to try to do is going to try to even consolidate these mega banks even more. And I think that JP Morgan is probably going to end up making a play for Citi at some point, and they are just going to try to have as much as possible under Jamie Dimon's roof, because I think they know that the end is coming. It's rotten to the core.
Yeah, I think both Citigroup, as well as I can see them making a play for Bank of America as well. It's almost kind of like they're zombie corpses. Without new infusions of the blood capital, the zombie can't pretend to walk around any longer.
Exactly. We're in the end games, no question.
Really, what you described from Sentinels, the court's decision last Friday being shocking, I couldn't agree more. And when I really had to read it twice once I read it. When I actually first read the ruling, my first thought was basically forget Wabbit season. This is open hunting season on segregated client funds all year round.
Absolutely. That's all it is. Like I said, it basically destroys all property rights that anybody has with any financial institution or depository institution. And I'm with you. I cannot figure out why the Tylers have not posted this at Zero Hedge. This is huge. What the hell is going on? And Denninger hasn't said anything about it either over at Market Ticker. As far as I can tell, it's me and then some metals websites and Warren Pollock. We're the only people who are talking about this. My God, this isn't speculation. This is a Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals decision. This is in black and white. This is setting massive legal precedents, and nobody's picking it up, even on the alternative side of the media. It's truly bizarre. I don't know what's going on.
And I look at it that not only does it have precedent implications for ongoing bankruptcies with PFG and MF Global, but essentially it gives the bankers basically a green light to steal as many client funds as you want, because you can just rely on the precedent that, well, we'll just jump back in line in front of the clients if anything happens. That's
exactly right. And the other thing people have to remember is people are focused on all this as happening exclusively inside the futures industry. Guys, this has ramifications throughout all financial markets, every sector of the financial industry, and even into simple, street corner depository banking, because they're all doing this rehypothecation. They're all doing this, and now they've just been given a green light that they are legally protected, and the depositors or the investors who are sending their margin to be held in these customer seg accounts have been completely legally hamstrung. There is now no legal recourse whatsoever. The court has explicitly stated that taking somebody else's money and using that as a collateral on your own personal loan is not fraud. I mean, I don't even know what to say. What in the hell is going on, other than, I guess the explanation is, welcome to Marxist fascism, ladies and gentlemen. It's here. Welcome to hell. Again, reiterating, you have got to get your money out of the financial system, not just the futures markets, but the entire thing. Stocks, 401k, IRA. And so help me God, if one more person emails me or calls me and says, well, what about my 401k with such and such a firm? I'm going to just go stick my hand through the wall. What is the matter with you people? What part of get the hell out are you not understanding? What is so difficult about this? It's the entire financial system. Get your money out or else it is all going to be stolen from you. It's all a Ponzi. The only way that you can survive a Ponzi scheme is if you get the hell out before it implodes and crashes. And that could be any day now, ladies and gentlemen. You have had so much warning and so much lead on this. There is no way that you can make any argument that, well, I didn't know. I've been here for 9 months. 9 months screaming at the top of my lungs, get the hell out, and people are so stuck in their sophomoric normalcy bias that they literally send me emails and they have no idea what I mean by that. If you are so intellectually far gone, if you are such a coward that you cannot comprehend what the words get the hell out of the financial markets mean, then you deserve to lose all your money, and don't you dare call or email me whining and bitching about it. I've had enough of it.
Yeah, we couldn't agree more. So we strongly advocate physical precious metals as one of the really the only remaining assets that have zero counterparty risk, and we're talking physical gold and silver held in your own personal possession. So what are you recommending to clients or former clients now with your strong recommendations to get out of all markets? And as you've mentioned now, you're not merely talking the futures markets, you're talking stocks, you're talking even deposit accounts. So are you is your recommendation focusing on physical precious metals like gold and silver, or also real estate? What are you recommending people protect their wealth with?
Well, I'm not a metals person. As you know, I was a cattle and grain person, so metals aren't my forte, but absolutely metals. Gold and silver, a sum of both. I've had people email me, and they're just like, well, I have $150,000. What could I possibly do with $150,000? Okay, $150,000, people. Do you know how to do third grade division? Okay, if we say that gold is at $1,600 an ounce, and there are 16 ounces in a pound, that comes out to less than 6 pounds of gold. Well, you can't carry something that weighs 6 pounds? Give me a break. Give me a break. So yeah, you've got gold for very compact storage of wealth. You've got silver for barter. I'd have some of both. I would probably keep some cash around. I don't know how exactly the collapse of the US dollar is going to play out, but I think it would be wise to have some actual paper cash. And then from my perspective, a lot of my clients are agricultural people, and there are still lots of places in the central United States where farm ground is still very much a buy. Now, I wouldn't be going and buying farm ground in south central Illinois, where it's just been a massive bubble for the last 4 years, and it just keeps going and going. That would make me nervous. But there's plenty of good farm ground, productive farm ground in Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas, South Dakota, places like that, that is still very much in play and can be bought, and I think would be an excellent store of wealth. Long guns, rifles and shotguns, assault rifles, no screwing around. Not handguns. You don't fight wars with handguns. You need long guns, and you need ammunition. Tens of thousands of rounds. If this situation gets tactical, you're going to burn through 10,000 rounds without hardly even knowing that you've done it. So you can't have too many long guns or too much ammunition. And then you know what? If we're wrong and there isn't a hot war and everything cools off and reverts to normalcy, I think the odds of that are extremely slim. But if I'm wrong about all this, you know what? Your long guns and your ammunition are still going to have resale value. It's not like it's just money into a black hole if you buy these things. All of these things do. Gold will still have value. Silver will still have value. The farm ground will certainly still have value. So there's all kinds of things that you can do. And then from the survival perspective, dehydrated food, you can get online and you can buy that years at a time. And you can burn through thousands of dollars just buying food, water, fuel, generators, all kinds of things. It's not hard to burn through this money. And needless to say, if you're carrying any debt whatsoever, mortgage, car, anything. Pay it off. Own as much as you possibly can outright so that you are as nimble and as removed from the system as humanly possible.
Along with your statement about buying food, before we let you go, I just wanted to ask you, with your background in the agriculture, just wondered what you thought, not as far as trading futures, but as far as retail prices over the next 6 to 12 months for grains and food stock in the U.S. With the historic drought we've been experiencing.
Oh, it's going to go up, baby. It's going to go up, 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 up. I mean, looking just at what corn has done. Corn has made all new highs, probed above 815. Okay, when you're feeding corn to cattle, hogs, and poultry, that translates directly into the price of those protein products. And we're so mentally retarded that we're still turning corn into rot gut gasoline substitute, which is about the dumbest thing that we could possibly be doing, but it's all part and parcel of this Marxist fascist attempt to completely destroy this economy. Oh, food prices are going up. Trust that. Trust that.
Okay, before we let you go, Ann, how can readers follow your work?
Just at my website, which is www.barnhardt, which is B as in boy, ARNHARDT.biz, B-I-Z.
Great. We really appreciate your time and your insight today, Ann, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right. Thanks for your time.